And welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. Just turn Sky News down. And I'll just take some of the volumes. Make sure everything is okay. Once the video starts on 16 people online, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. And perfect. Volume's fine. Turn that down so don't get... Yes, Patrick. Yeah, there's a website in Italy. That has broke the news this evening, but this afternoon. And the website, if you want the name of it, is Corriere, which is an Italian football news site. It's all about sport. And O'Reilly si muovio anche Inter. Basically, Inter Milan won the one and only O'Reilly. And that story come out today in that paper. Come out today. It's a 3-minute read in Italian. I can't read Italian, but I could read Matt O'Reilly and I could read Celtic and I could read Scottish Premiership. They've also been talking about Lewis Ferguson. Talking about Louis Ferguson, who obviously came from Aberdeen. And yes, that is it. That is the news. It's coming in straight out of LA. It's not the Scottish media that broke this story. It is the Italian media. The Italian media have broke this story this afternoon. And it comes just a day after Matt O'Reilly says, look, he said, I don't want to talk about... Now, this is why you know there's some truth to the story. This is why you know that there's some truth to the story. Because Matt O'Reilly came out and told... Matt O'Reilly came out and told everyone that he doesn't want to talk about transfer speculation because it will take his eye off the job in hand. He's told his agent, he's told Celtic, and he's told his mum and dad, which means it's getting spoke about. It's as simple as that. It's Celtic want to know if he's going to leave. Of course, every manager does this. Every manager will ask. Every manager, Ange Postecoglou used to do it. Ange Postecoglou would say, look, are you going to leave? We need to know so we can get a replacement in. And Matt O'Reilly's saying, look, I don't want to talk about it until the summer. I want to focus on winning the league and winning the cup, which is quite rightly so. So, yeah, there you go. There's an orc in. Is there? Oh, you subscribed to the channel then? Oh, no, my name's back. Oh, look who it is. Oh, bless him. Hi, user from channel. Oh, look who it is. Yeah, he's just been deleted again. He's been let out of jail and he's come back. There we go. He's gone. He's been dealt with. He's got a load of other channels that he can go on, so be prepared. Just the thing is, I unblocked all the orcs months and months ago, just to see how long it would take them to come back and comment on the channel. Amazing that. Anyway, let's get back to the news that's coming out of Italy today about the one and only Matt O'Reilly. And Matt O'Reilly said to the media yesterday, he said that, look, I don't want to talk about transfer speculation because it'll make me take my eye off the job. I've said this to Celtic, I've said it to my agent, and I've said it to my mum and dad. Which means that this Celtic have had people inquiring about him. It's as simple as that. It would have taken place. Brendan Rodgers, within his right, will say, look, Matt, what's happening? Are you going to go this summer? Because we need to really be forward planning. And he'll turn around and say, look, boss, I don't want to talk about it now because it's going to just, if I start thinking about it, it's going to get into the back of my head and then it's going to put me off my game. And I don't want that between now and the end of the season. I want to go out a winner. We'll talk about it then. Which is quite right. Anyway, and other Celtic news, Celtic FCB. We can confirm that Celtic B team, the FCB team duo, Jude Bonner and Corey Thompson have signed contract extension with the club. Congratulations to both and look forward to seeing your journey continue with the Hoops. Now, this is obviously part of the plan for Celtic to make sure that they retain as much as the youth players as possible. There's been quite a few youth players that have left Celtic over the last few seasons. And let's be fair, with the fact that Celtic have now brought in Darren O'D, smash down, Better not. Don't want to upset too many of the orcs. So Darren Ladee's been brought in as in a new position that is a pathway manager for the youth system and the youth players, and he's given the youth players a pathway. He'll show them that he'll map out an exact pathway for each player to get into the first team, whether it be that they go out on loan once they at a certain stage, etc., etc. Anyway, talking about a player that is out on loan is Quan. Quan is at St Mirren. He is currently injured, but the Celtic manager is going to decide, even though he's suffered that hamstring injury, and it looks like he's now going to miss the rest of the season, which is unfortunate for the player himself, and obviously it's unfortunate for St Mirren. But by all accounts, the South Korean midfield player has had a good time in Paisley, and the Paisley club want to bring him back to St Mirren next season on loan. I think we should just sell him to them. Is he a player has he got that class to come? Has Quan got that class to come back into the Celtic midfield? It's like I said in the video yesterday, we need to be thinking, was it this morning? We need to be thinking about the Champions League, and we need to start measuring ourselves against what we do in the Champions League. Excuse me. That's where we'll be judged, and that's where the Celtic manager will be judged also. Right, let's get to some of the comments. Because I haven't even read any of the comments yet. So I missed the one and only, whatever his name is. Anyway, here we go. Surprise. As soon as it gets to the nitty and gritty, the Scottish mainstream media start selling our players. Patrick, this one's coming straight out of Italy. It's nothing to do with the Scottish press. It's straight out of Italy, this one. And I'll put a link to the website if you want that has actually got the story, if you could read Italian. But anyway, it's coming straight out of Italy. Patrick's here. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Sure it is, man. Sure it is. Fucking is that Scottish media? You're just fucking copying the Scottish media. Anyway, Paul Limerick says, hail hoops. Hail troops. Evening Baz. Jim F says, evening Baz. John Milne says, hail. Tony says, hail. Jason Scott. Hey diddly do. And Max says, hail. You know your name. Know my name. Made a return. It's good to know that they still check in on Celtic videos, isn't it? Good evening, Baz from sunny Glasgow. Hi, Barry. Listen for a change so I can read the mad comments. He's going to listen. Joe Doc is in the house. Evening, Baz. Hope you're good. All good here. Yep, fantastic. Sceneries coming in from London. Anthony, who Baz all the way from Barlinnie's and Barlinnie's in the house. Who's in the house? Barlinnie's in the house. Up the Barlinnie boys. There's an Orkin. He was dealt with. Tam Mack is a legend. Paradise Found says even with Baz the boys. Paul Limmoney's in. You can smell shite. There's a hunting. And Tam Mack's cracking open a pint of Stella. And Patrick says, you think? Okay, apologies, Baz. Fair enough, Patrick. It's cool. I tend not to look at the Scottish mainstream media for stuff. I don't look at this. I look at wider press. I look at press because the Scottish media just copy everything else that comes from international press. But this one is coming out of. I mean, I'll put it. It's not. Where is the site now? O'Reilly. Corriere dello Sport IT. Oh yeah, but it is all in Italian. And they spoke about the fact that O'Reilly, 21 November del 2000, blah 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 blah. Talking about him being at MK Dons, and yeah, basically been following his career. So yeah. Spoke about they're talking about the Champions League also. They're talking about Lagerbelke. Yeah, there's Lagerbelke's name. Lagerbelke scoring the header I was talking about. Interesting. That's quite a good piece. Talking about Matt O'Reilly being at Fulham, MK Dons. But anyway, look, whether we like it or not, and I know that we don't want to be talking about it just now because we've got a league to win, but Matt O'Reilly, Baz, I think you're steaming. You're steaming for a flat in Glasgow. You never know. I'm telling you nothing. Let's use the less the zombies that are the less that the zombies know. That's all I'm going to say. Right, anyway, Stella's pushed to Tom. Get a Guinness opened. Stella's alright. South Africa is in the house tonight also, and SL17. Quorn's a good player. Not Celtic standards. It's inevitable that O'Reilly be sold for over 20 million. Yes, it is. We need to spend up for 30 million to stay in front and attack the Champions League. Hail forever. Patrick then says, every time we have a big league game or cup, there's something. Yeah, I totally get that, Patrick, but you can't stop. You can't stop the international media, and this coming straight out of. They have looked at him before. It was alleged that they looked at him back in January, and they were turned away by Celtic. They were told no chance by Celtic, and it's this piece in this. I can read Spanish, but Italian's just a different level. I'll just say Luis Fergus. Yeah. It's basically just saying that they're going to go back in for him. They're interested in O'Reilly si muovo anche Inter is the headline. What I'll do is I'll copy and paste the headline straight from it, right? And I'll put it right in here. Put it in here. So here is the headline in the paper. That's me just copied and pasted it from the paper. Baz, take the cap off. Nope, Stephen stays on. Stays on. It's always been on. It's always been on in this channel. Always. Always. Never comes off. Never. I've got a collection of them. There's even more to come. Anyway. Any signing any ball players? No. And I'm devastated about it. Devastated. We need more. We need more men. Real men that know and take the time every couple of days just to get that blade out and just foam up the scalp and just get that blade right across the napper. Wet shave. Best way to go. Best way to go. Anyway, let's get back to some of the Celtic news because we have went off track. Quan, it's been said that Brendan Rodgers is going to make a decision whether he's going to go back there next season on loan. I think we should just sell him. He has got a lengthy contract. He played down south before, and he never made it down south. He played at the Aviva, didn't he, against Wolves? I don't think he's going to make it. I don't think he's going to make it as a Celtic player. I don't think, and I think he's probably St Mirren standard, to be honest. So that's one player there'll be a decision made in the summer. It looks like Celtic are going to put him out on loan again. I don't think St Mirren can afford to buy him. Let's be fair. Now, the big news: Celtic host Hearts at Celtic Park this weekend. A match that is significant because Hearts have managed to beat us a couple of times this season, and we all know what happened the last time with the controversy around VAR, and the one and only Yang that got sent off. Yeah, Yang got sent off for the ball hitting him on the back of the arm, even though he never seen it, and even though that the Hearts player headed it onto the back of his arm, and it was deemed a sending off offence and the penalty. But it is what it is. Scottish Football Association today announced the appointment of Kevin Clancy, and assisting from the sidelines in the VAR room will be Nick Walsh. That's all I want to say about them. That's all I want to say about them, because I don't want to get too bogged down with the whole nonsense about officials and all the rest of it, because let's face it, Celtic are bad enough without having to worry about the officials. Celtic need to go out and win this game. We need to prove a point against Hearts. Hearts has been a really formidable team for us this season. They've took points off us, and I think Hearts is a team that we need to go out and prove, and it's going to be a hard game. Let's face it, it's going to be a hard game, but I think that the Celtic do have the bit between the teeth. It all depends what our defence does. Now, this is not time to have a dig at Liam Scales. Liam Scales is the player of the moment that's getting the abuse from the fans, be it right or wrongly. There's always a homegrown element to a player that, although he is Irish, there's a homegrown element to a player that gets abused at Celtic. It was James Forrest for a long time. Now it's the turn of Liam Scales. Yes, Liam Scales does have a couple of moments of a lapse of concentration within a game, but we need to just knuckle down and win the game. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. If it's an ugly 1-0 win, so be it. If it's an ugly 1-0 win, so be it. I wanted us to go out and try and dominate games and show that we really are champions. Because as it stands just now, we're kind of limping over the line and it's not really good football. So let's not have a dig at Scales. Let's just back all the players between now and the end of the season. And then at the end of the season, we'll sit down and we'll have a discussion after Brendan Rodgers has come out and stood on the steps of Celtic Park as championship manager, as the SPFL manager, and hopefully the Scottish Cup winning manager. And if he doesn't win either, he needs to come out and he has to stand on the stairs of Celtic Park and he has to explain to us what went wrong this season. And we'll leave that for then, because there'll be a lot of conversations that will be had over that period, especially when it comes to Brendan Rodgers spending some kind of money and taking us into the Champions League. And let's face it, Brendan Rodgers never did too great the last time he was at Celtic and he was in the Champions League. Anyway, let's get on to some more Celtic news. Obviously, the big news that we went to right at the beginning was obviously Matt O'Reilly. And when it comes to the manager, the shortlist for the Scottish Professional Football League Manager of the Year has been announced. And it's no surprise, really, that Brendan Rodgers isn't there. Because let's face it, he's not really set the heather on fire this time round. I think the last time he won it 2 of the 3 seasons he was here, I'm sure. And the fact that he's not been picked for Manager of the Year award, you can understand why. Because he's not had the same Celtic effect that he had the first time around. He's not had the same effect on Celtic. He's not the all-conquering. Is there a resemblance to Ange Postecoglou's first year at Celtic, with the case of injuries, with the case of dropping points? But it is what it is, and he's not been chosen. Derek McInnes, Tony Docherty, and Falkirk's John McGlynn have been chosen instead. It's got Derek McInnes written all over it, isn't it? It's got Derek McInnes written all over it. Derek McInnes, the manager of the one and only Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock, we talk about them next, because Kilmarnock, yes, Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock's a team that we play away from home, and Celtic fans will be given the opportunity to buy tickets for that game. And let's face it, it is another reduced allocation. There are only 3,835 seats available to Celtic fans. Can you remember the last time that, it must have been about 2015 or something, when Celtic won the league at Rugby Park, and they had 3 sides of the stadium. They did have 3 sides of the stadium for that game. You wouldn't expect anything less with a team that's got Derek McInnes in, because he hates Celtic. But there will be only 3,835 Celtic fans at the game. Eligibility to buy a ticket, this is the best bit. You need to have went to 7 away games during last season. You had to have went to 7 away games during last season. Now, the majority, this is where it gets interesting, because the majority of people that go to away games go to every single away game. So there's obviously, there'll be an oversubscription for that, and there'll be people that won't get tickets. There'll be supporters buses up and down the country that'll be, we are short, and we used to get that text all the time. Who's got spare tickets? Well, nobody, right? And then it comes to the cases, right? Whose buses are doubling up? Whose buses are doubling up because we're all short of tickets? Tony Docherty from Manager of the Year says SL17 shortlist. Why wasn't Greg Taylor nominated? Yeah, let's jump back into some of the comments. Green Machine says, first time in a while, a fancy us to give Hearts a doing 3-0. Do we, Green Machine, do we have a 3-0 win in us? Realistically, do we have a 3-0 win in us? Mind you, if it wasn't for Adam Ida, right? If it wasn't for Adam Ida, who we'll talk about towards the end of the season, because I think it's as time has went on, he's shown his standard. And when we look at the type of striker that the manager brought in before, Odson Edwards, to name but one, Musa Dumbelli. When you look at that standard of player and what they could do as a striker, Adam Ida's nowhere near that, is he? He's nowhere near that. And I think that Brendan Rodgers will go, yeah, he's a good player, but he's nowhere near that standard of Musa Dumbelli or Odson Edwards. I mean, they were miles ahead of him. Miles. Absolutely miles ahead of what Adam Ida is. And I think the manager will know that. And it's going into the Champions League. Celtic can't afford to go into the Champions League with that level of striker. Let's be honest. Let's perfectly be honest here. Anyway, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. And let's get back to some of the comments. Peter King says, just win the game, put pressure on the Huns. We owe the Jambos a scalping. Yes, we do that. SL17. Maida back for the Hun game. Hopefully the 25th of May. Get behind Scales. Get behind the team. And every game is a cup final. Yes, it is. And the fans will. The fans will. And I just hope that it gets to the gritty end of the season. And I hope it's going to be one of those games that even when there's a tough moment in the game, the whole stadium makes a noise. Because there's lots of times during this season where there's lots of parts of the ground. And let's be honest, you're talking from the main stand to the north stand to the Celtic end. There's lots of parts of the ground that are in complete silence. And the only two sections of the ground are 111, the north curve, and then the other corner opposite where the boys sit. And that's where the noise is emanating from. We need to get the whole fan base up and singing. People that go to games, they need to push this team over the line. Every single person in the stadium needs to help push this team and motivate this team. Not motivate them, but just give them that extra 2-yard push. Do you know, it's like, make some noise for the boys. And breathe. It's only Tuesday night. Sandwich Boy says we should practice defending corners. Big Dom says we all know this is a poor team by our standards, but it's what we need is to win 3 points. Stephen Kennedy says back the team, Baz. Hopefully we'll win this league. Yes, well, there's no hoping about it. I still think we will. Something today's in the house says even into Lorna. Studs says shortlist. Why wasn't Greg Taylor nominated? Seneri says he still thinks it is a good result against Dundee. They had no pressure. And they got the top 6. Yeah, I said that before the game. They had nothing to lose. They could go out and play football and take a tanking. And it doesn't matter. It didn't matter to Dundee. You know, they could have went out and... I'm just watching a goal, but Dortmund again. Leipzig. Oh, there's what's his name? Oh, Lambert's on the telly. You better have his Celtic strip on the other side of that room, I tell you. He's got his Dortmund strip on the wall, Scotland strip. Better have a Celtic strip up there, Lambert. He was actually at a pub near here, not too long ago. Anyway, let's get back to some of the comments. Stephen Kennedy says, we've been that one. Milo would be on the bench. The whole ground needs to push this team. Yes, it does, SL17. Big Dom says, how do you turn this team into Champions League quality? It needs 100 million spent. I don't think it needs 100 million. Somebody says, star Adam Ida, Kyogo still looks too thin and weak. What is wrong with Kyogo? He does look thin, doesn't he? He does look thin. Anyway, we definitely need something going on in the Champions League. Star Ida. Around 67 Hill said the striker at Aberdeen is better quality than both Kyogo and Ida this season. Spend 6 million on him. We won't get anyone better for that money. Do you think that the Aberdeen player is the type of player that can score us goals in the Champions League? It's okay on being able to score goals in the SPFL. And when you look at the stats of the teams that he was at before Aberdeen, he wasn't a prolific goal scorer. So, with that being said, is he the type of striker? Can he up his game? Can he go up that level? Now, I mean, I don't know how many goals he scored for Aberdeen in Europe when they were in Europe this season. So, I don't know. I'll need to look at the stats for that. Anyway, Andrew Cook says, Sandwich Boys says, Stephen Kennedy says, guys, hit the button for Baz. Thank you for that, Stephen. Sandwich Boys says, I think Celtic could get into their stride and are going to grind out results. They'll peak from now on to the Cup final. Let's hope they do, because by all accounts, the team across the road are in pretty much meltdown, with players left, right and centre saying that they want to leave. So the club on the other side of the city is going to have a massive rebuild. Celtic are fortunate that we don't need a massive rebuild, but with the sale of Matt O'Reilly, it does mean that we're going to need a player in the middle of that. Because I don't want... Do you think that Rio Hatate is good enough? And this is an honest question here. Do you think that Rio Hatate is good enough for the Champions League? Do you think he's done enough in the Champions League to be up there in European football standards? I think we need someone a bit more... I don't know. We need someone that's an attacking midfield player that's really on the ball. Miovski is a shoe-in for Celtic. Does Kyogo look like he's ever going to score in European goals just now? Well, that's another talking point. We'll talk about that towards the end of the season, because at the end of the season is the time that we need to analyse the squad, and there's no use doing it just now. Let's just get this over the line. We've got 5-6 weeks to get us over the line. Let's just get over the line, and then we'll start analysing the squad during the summer, and we will have the full summer to do it, and I will be here every single day during the summer, and we can analyse the squad to death, see who leaves, see who stays, and hope we buy someone decent. Anyway, Sefco isn't a rebuild, it's a fire sale. Big Dom says, do you have confidence that Brendan will spend and recruit wisely? I don't think, when you look back at last summer, none of those signings were Brendan's signings. The information that I've been told about the last transfer window, the winter transfer window, is that young Lawwell, who was in charge of the recruitment at the time, offered Brendan Rodgers 7 players. Brendan Rodgers turned down 5 of the players. And deemed that they were not good enough for Celtic. The only one that he thought was good enough was Adam Ida on loan, and the one and only Kuhn. They are the only 2 players out of the 7 that Brendan was offered at the last transfer window by the recruitment team. What were the rest of the players like? Honestly, what were the rest of the players? And hence the reason that we're now looking for a new head of recruitment, and hopefully he'll be in place in the next couple of weeks. Realistically, Hatate and McGregor can't play in the same team. Interesting. Do you think so, Frank? Because they play in 2 different positions. Because McGregor's better playing in that holding midfield, defensive midfield position. I think when he plays in the defensive midfield position and it allows Hatate and McGregor to go further forward, I don't see any problem with that. But we're all entitled to our own opinions on this channel. Richard Smith says, I'm more worried about the defence in the Champions League. Aren't we all? We can't keep a clean sheet in Scotland. What are we going to do in the Champions League? Catch Leo every time if you can. Send the Huns twice this season, double done. Yep, that's it. Buy 5-10 million players, say Joe Docherty, and that will definitely help. The Champions League money, the money from Jota, the money from Riley will pay for it. We've got 60 odd million in the bank as it is. If we win the league, we're going to get 50 odd million plus from the Champions League. If we sell Matt O'Reilly, we're going to get 25 million. You know, there's a 75 million start to the season. That's before we sell any tickets. And believe me, Celtic will sell the tickets for the Champions League. Brendan brought a dud and Nathan Phillips on loan. Paul Baird, you are right. But we were desperate for a defender then. It was at a stage of the season. There was only like 2 or 3 days before the end of the transfer window. There wasn't exactly a vast array, a choice of players for Brendan to put his trust in and throw into that first team. So, you know, and we all know that you want Brendan out, so we'll just wait till the end of the season to see what happens. SL17, we need some kind of player like the big grumpy Greek, a brilliant keeper, a left and right back. Get rid of Rocky Gustav, a real centre back to complement Cameron Carter-Vickers. Hey, Baz, don't think that the Aberdeen player scored any goals for Aberdeen in Europe this season. Well, what's the big thing about bringing him to Celtic then? Do you know, is he going to... We need to get a player that has scored, that has a European pedigree and that knows how to score in Europe. For as good as little Kyogo is, you know, he's never done it in European football. He's never done it in European football. When you look back at great strikers at Celtic, they've all scored in European football. Kyogo hasn't. You know, I think Kyogo's going to be a player that will stick around at Celtic for a few years and then he'll head back to Japan. He'll head back to Japan. He's not going to go anywhere else. 25 million for O'Reilly. Dream on. You wait and see. You wait and see. I'd bet you a little fiver that Matt O'Reilly goes for 25 million. When you've got the likes of Inter Milan throwing their hat in the ring, you're starting at 20 million all day long. You're starting at 20 million all day long. Got to remember that Atletico Madrid wanted to buy him for 18 million and Celtic knocked that back. So 25 million, you might not think he's worth that. But a team in Europe will think that Matt O'Reilly's worth that. And I'll tell you why. His age and how much he's got to progress as a player. Right? And another news story, talking about Matt O'Reilly. Matt O'Reilly has also been talking about the manager. He has been talking about the manager. Wait till I find it. Matt O'Reilly's been talking about Celtic manager, and he reckons that he's improved more. And this is going to wind you all up. This is going to wind every single one of you up. Matt O'Reilly says that he's improved more under Brendan Rodgers than he did under Ange Postecoglou. Here come the hate comments. Here comes the hate. Yes, that's what Matt O'Reilly says. Matt O'Reilly said, with his 14 goals this season, 16 assists this season under Brendan Rodgers, I'm not far for surpassing the past 2 seasons at Celtic. That's the 2 seasons under Ange Postecoglou. He reckons that he's playing better under Brendan Rodgers. He's been given the freedom of the sort of top of the pitch, and it's given that ability to strike at will and get into the box. And he reckons he's playing better. Because he's been given the freedom under Brendan Rodgers, where he wasn't really given that freedom. It was more the wingers coming in. He was kind of told to keep on the edge of the box. So, what do you think about that? Tell me in the comments. Matt O'Reilly's a full package. I think Matt's pushed this season to inconsistent. 25 million, absolutely no chance. Hope so, though. And bollocks, Baz says Stephen Kennedy. It's true. Every other player has gone backwards under Brendan. Says Big Dom. He says that it's true that Brendan, he has made Matt O'Reilly better, but every other player has gone backwards. Interesting. Aj had one tactic, attack, but it was great to watch. Yep. Something today says it'll be 20 million tops, 25% sell-on fee. Not a chance. Any news on Maida Baz? There's nothing coming out of Celtic because Celtic would have been in training this morning and nothing gets leaked out on a Tuesday. Nothing gets leaked out. Anyway, Aberdeen player, European record, 7 games, 4 goals, 2 assists this season from Transfer Market. Well, there you go, 67 hail. So he's got 4 goals and 2 assists. Aye, but that was the lowest cup in Europe, though, wasn't it? It wasn't. What's the name of that cup again? It's the one that top teams don't really even think about. The Celtic not going to it 1 year and we got put out. Matt O'Reilly was great at the start, but he's seen a slump and hasn't made an impact at all. We can get billions. Always the Boers will spend it cheap and run with the rest. Remember, Chris Sutton said he kept criticising Kyogo. He done the Huns with 2 cracking goals. Yep. But when you look at Kyogo overall this season, he seems to have lost a lot of weight. He does seem to have lost a lot of weight. 12 to 15 for Matt O'Reilly if we're lucky. How can you turn down 18 million in December and then sell a player that's still got the same length of contract, that's still the same age, still has the same chance of progressing as a player, but now we're going to accept less? Not a chance. Not a chance. Brendan will announce Maeda on Saturday. On Saturday. We play on Saturday. No, he'll announce it. He says that Maeda was back on the pitch. Once he gets to the press conference on Thursday afternoon, he'll talk about him then. This team reminds me of life under Ronnie Dyer, said Big Dom. Come on, Big Dom. I cracked that one the other night, saying that this team is probably worse than Ronnie's team. Didn't Aberdeen beat Frankfurt in Europe? I think they did, actually. Matt O'Reilly's been horrendous this season. Time to offload and cash in, says Paul. Harsh words from Paul. Very harsh words from Paul. Right, there's been 584 people on the live so far. There's currently 183 viewers, and we have been online for 35 minutes. Jesus, there you go. I was only going on for half an hour. It's only going on for half an hour. Right, let me see how many thumbs up we do have. I need to update the video. We do have a total of 73 thumbs up, so make sure that you give the video a thumbs up. And the breaking news tonight, injury-plagued season, to be fair, it is. Richard, yes, it is that. It would be great having O'Reilly for next season. It would be great, but I don't think it's going to happen. It'll be interesting because he's going to have his choice of teams. And could it be the fact that Matt O'Reilly might look at the teams and go, are they in the Champions League? Because let's face it, that's where Matt O'Reilly wants to be. Matt O'Reilly could go to the Euros. Are they in the Euros this year? I can't even remember. Matt O'Reilly wants to play at the top level. And I think he's going to go to a team that will be in the Champions League. And he'll be a player that'll probably come back to haunt us. Anyway, Sandwich Boy says, I hope it's replaced like with like. Not a chance, Sandwich Boy. Not a chance. Not a chance. Not a chance. I'm on 72 likes. I'm on 73 likes now, so make sure you hit the thumbs up. Right, what time is it? It is 7:05. Let me just see. Brendan Rodgers plays Celtic play Hearts. Will James Forrest, who scored a double at the game at the weekend, will James Forrest be on the pitch? Will he start the game this week? That's all discussions for the rest of the week. It is only Tuesday, and despite the fact that it is getting to fever pitch time, Hearts is going to be a hard game. I don't care what anybody says. They've beaten us twice this season. They have beaten us twice. Tomoki Iwata might come back in for Callum McGregor. If Callum McGregor's not 100%, I would not start Callum McGregor against Hearts. Is Tomoki Iwata the player that we need to, though? Is he the standard? I think Tomoki Iwata, and I'm being honest about this, Tomoki Iwata, if you watch his play off the ball, he leaves the central defensive midfield area open quite a bit, and it gives me a bit of a fear. But Callum McGregor hasn't completed the 90 minutes since he came back from his injury. Could Tomoki Iwata take his chance in his place in the pitch? That'll all be down to the manager. Brendan Rodgers will sit and think about that this week. They'll see how much he progresses. And let's face it, he wasn't 100. If he's not 100% fit, you're not going to start Callum McGregor. Maybe bring him on the second half, but I wouldn't start him at Celtic Park against this lot. James Forrest, he has to start for me. James Forrest has to start. You cannot drop the one and only James Forrest. And then it's going to come down to the fact that they are a big team. I mean, in the sense of tall, it is quite a tall group of players. Will Adam Ida come in and start that game? Because let's face it, Kyogo's not really been at the races when it comes to it, and he struggles against taller players, and he has done all season. He has done for a couple of seasons, to be fair. Even under Ange Postecoglou, they were kind of running into his shoulder off the ball. Anyway, Cheaty does twice. Big Dom says, we're dreaming if we think that we're going to have if summer recruitment will be good. That's the talks for the summer. That's what's going to keep this channel going through the summer, is the daily chat of Celtic transfer talk. Hearts had a hard game. Imagine if they played decent. Yes. How much more money than everyone else do you need to buy a title? SL17 says Hearts and Kelly are the blue mould. Yes, they are that. I've missed out some comments. Apologies if I've missed out some of your comments. Funniest price was 20 million for Tavernier. The Conference Cup, that's what it was. That's what Aberdeen played in. The Conference Cup. That's a disappointment, wasn't it? Not really, but they probably done better than us. Breaking news that Stephen Kennedy is Frank Carson Tribute Act 2012. Oh man, absolutely crazy. The lot of yous. Right, Sandwich Boy, do you think that Matt O'Reilly with what do you think they will replace Matt O'Reilly with? Another quality player? Not a chance. It'll be someone that we've never heard of, and it'll be someone that'll cost about 6 million. And it won't be Paulo Bernardo. If Celtic buy Paulo Bernardo, he's not your replacement for Matt O'Reilly. Not a chance. And if it is, we're fucked. Simple as that. We're fucked. We're going into the Champions League. We'll talk about that in the summer, because it's not the time to talk about that just now. It's not the time to talk about it. It's the time to try and get this team up. Make sure that the team knows that we back them. You play for us, we'll sing for you. That's what the Green Brigade put out, the banner after the game. You play for us, we'll sing for you. We need to make sure that they're playing for us and we are singing. Every single fan. Something today says Hart, Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Scales, Taylor, Awata, O'Reilly, Rio, Forrest, Kuhn and Ida is his team for the weekend. Even though we don't know who's fit, we don't know who is. To be honest, I think Keogh wants to go back home, says Jason. And I'm dreading Shankland is unstoppable this season. And we can't defend worth shit. Anyway, double the wages for O'Reilly. It will more than double the wages for O'Reilly when O'Reilly moves this summer. It will more than definitely double his wages. Anyway, on that note, I'm reading some of the comments. Right, that's me done and dusted for the evening. I'll just go over the breaking news. The headline that we kicked off for is Corriere dello Sport IT broke the news. An Italian sports website broke the news this afternoon that Inter Milan are going to make a move for the one and only Matt O'Reilly. The article then goes on to talk about Lewis Ferguson, who went to Bologna, and they talk about O'Reilly being under Brendan Rodgers. They also talk about O'Reilly that came to Celtic. And then they're also talking about him being at Milton Keynes Dons after he left Fulham. And the rest of it, I could read Spanish, but I cannot read Italian. And if you want, I'll even put it up in the comments before we go. So there is the article. In full. Go and read it. Breaking news. Baz have 74 likes. Cheers. Denmark are in the Euros, says Gary and Neil. Cheers, Baz. Have a good evening again. Have a fantastic evening, everyone is. There is the link to the website, the Italian website. You might get it to translate if you go into Google Chrome. You might be able to do that. Just hope we come flying out. We come flying on Sunday. Yes. Hail to the champion, said Scott Wilson. Scott Wilson. Not the brother, good old Tom Wilson, are you? Nah. Good show, Baz. Even Frank Carson tuned in tonight. Says Stephen Kennedy. Bye, Baz. Hail. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic evening, Celtic fans who came in from South Africa and I can't remember where else today. Anyway, have a fantastic evening wherever you are all around the world. Hail.